Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th installment of Yid Talks. Tonight's topic is a greater awareness of Hashem. I want to start this talk with thinking about the modern age, the modern reality that we live in today. And never in history have we lived in such a time when people can be exposed in such an easy manner. And what do I mean by that? Never in a time has there been something that has been in our pockets that allows anyone at any time to record anything that happens anywhere around them. And this causes a lot of concerns in the world. Things that never would have been caught on video is now caught on video. And a lot of embarrassment can come of that. A lot of an exposure of bad character traits can come of that, and of course good character traits as well. Many interesting things have been caught on tape. Like that. The basketball thrown behind the back. On top of a roof, and it goes swish. That those things also get to be caught on tape as well. But there's never been a time in history that a person is so exposed to having an experience that they go through be permanent. And between our cell phones, between street cameras for different governments, for businesses, even on people's homes, the Ring app, that people can put in their houses, on their front doors, has captured a lot of different things. It's done good and it's done bad, but the point is that anywhere we go, we can be sort of recorded and for in perpetuity, in an infinite, forever type of way that it can be put onto social media, and then it's like there's no erasing such a thing. And this isn't just for videos or sound recordings. It's also our text messages, our phone calls. These things are actually recorded, and they're stored somewhere in this world. And I wanted to bring this up in relation to a Mishna in Pirkei Avos, the second parak, the first Mishna at the very end. It says as follows: Histakel b'shlosh devarim. Be aware, consider these three things as follows. Ve'ein atah v'aliyadei aveira, and a person will not come to do an aveira. Da malam malam mimcha. Know who is above you. And now the three things are going to come from that. Know from who is above you. Ayin roeh, an eye that sees. Ve'oizen shamas, an ear that hears. V'chol ma'asecha v'sefer nichtovim. And all of one's deeds are recorded in a book. Now, if we consider this Mishnah in light of today's reality, we can see that it's an apt illustration and really a proper metaphor for how we can envision Hashem's attention on us. And I do believe, and I think it's certainly talked about in Chazal, that the use of metaphor, the use of a mashal, is a way to help the intellect more easily digest a principle that may be too hard to understand according to its raw data. And I think the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs this world, the way that God runs this world, I think, as like it says in Mesilas Yesharim, that every moment of our lives is a test. Every single moment of our lives is a test. Whether for good that happens, for bad that happens, is all testing man. And what is it testing man to do or to come towards? It's to come towards Him. To come towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And to bring us closer to Him. So if we think about the situation of this world that we see today, it's no longer the information age that we live in. It's like the surveillance age that we live in. Everything is recorded, and this relates to the Mishna in Pirkei Avos. There's also a beautiful little story in Brachos on 28b, or we can say Kaf Het Amid Beis in Brachos. It's in the fourth parak, and it's a story of Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai that was on his deathbed. And Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai tells his students that are situated around his bed of what to expect when a person passes from this world. And at the end of this little talk that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai gives to his students say to him, "Bless us, Rebbe, bless us. Before you go, bless us." And what did Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai say to his students? It says as follows: Yehi ratzoin shetehei moira shemayim aleichem k'moira basav dam. Maybe your will, Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the fear of heaven be upon you like the fear of basar v'dam, the fear of flesh and blood. The students respond to this and they say, Ad Khan, is this it? Is this really? This is all we need to. This is the beautiful blessing that you're going to give to your students on your deathbed, is that we should fear God just like we fear another human being. It doesn't seem like such a. First of all, it doesn't seem like such a high level, possibly, and it also doesn't seem like such a great blessing to give for a teacher to give a student. But we see what Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai answers, and he says back, Amar lahem halavai, that you should get to such a level. Teidu, for you should know, kisha adam oiver avera oimer shelo yer ani adam, that when a person comes to do a transgression, do an avera, do a sin, he would say to himself, what does a person naturally say to himself? At least a person didn't see me. Now, I think this story of Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai, amongst a million other things that it can teach us, I thought of 2 points that can relate to the Mishna in Pirkei Avos and to our modern world today of this surveillance age. It's a hard word to say, surveillance. I think I'm saying it right. Firstly, it might come to a surprise that Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai is telling us about human nature here, that a person really does care about what other people think of him. And if we really think about it, we have to understand that we all want to be viewed in a positive light. Nobody wants to be seen in a negative light and be remembered in a negative way. We want to have a shem tov. We all want to have a good name. And how does one have a good name? It's from a relation to other people. And I think that Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai is really giving us a really deep understanding of human nature, that we really do want to please other people. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as we don't, as long as I believe we don't let it get to our heads. And we still pursue other things in our life other than just the pure honor of others. But I also think that there's a deeper point here, and that's coming from a HaKadosh Baruch Hu's perspective. To think for a second that he wants us to care. He wants us to care what he thinks. He wants us to care what he thinks of us. I'm sorry. I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. So here I go. It says that he wants us to care what he thinks of our actions. And that's a really profound thought if we think about it. He wants us to care what he thinks of our actions. Meaning, just like normally, according to human nature, we care what other people think of us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, and it's through this Mishna in Pirkei Avos, that he wants us to feel the same way about him. He wants us to go about our business in our day, our thoughts, our speech, our actions. And he wants us to consider him. He wants us to consider how much he loves us and how much he cares for us to such an extent that he's always watching us, he's always listening to us, he's always writing all our actions in a book. He wants us to understand how careful he is guiding our lives. And hopefully with a greater awareness of that, we can treat averas more seriously, and we can avoid them more seriously, and we can run more quickly to do mitzvahs. And I had one other thought, a mashal for this, And I thought about my once big love of basketball, particularly the San Antonio Spurs. Don't ask me why. That could be for another time. When I was really into it, what did I do? I paid attention to every little detail about that team. Think back to the 99-2000 Spurs, one of the best years ever. It was a tremendous win in the finals to win the championship. And I knew every player's name. I knew their stats. I was able to tell you the numbers on the players' jerseys. I was able to tell you some of the coaching staff even. See, because when we care about something, when we show love towards something, we pay attention to it. And in the same way that we're learning in Pirkei Avos, the second parak, the first Mishna, it's telling us Hashem sees, Hashem hears, Hashem writes everything in a book, showing us how much He cares for us. On the surface, the Mishnah, if I was to read the Mishnah on its most basic level, a lot of fear could be given towards it, and I think that's still appropriate. It's to show us that our actions matter and they have consequences, right? Just like I talked about before, schar and oynish of reward and punishment, and our actions have that because we are going to see in the next world that our actions have consequences, both good and bad. And I think that's the basic level. But when we get a little deeper, it's not about fear. It's about awe. It's about understanding how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, how much He cares for us, so much so that He's watching everything we do. And He's taking investment. He puts investment into our lives. And He wants to see us grow towards Him. He wants to see us come closer to Him and to embrace Him and to continually grow, to emulate Him more and more each and every day. So I just thought that this was a nice little thought about bringing it back to the world that we live in today, to see that the world that we live in is an apt metaphor for how Hashem expects us to see how He treats us, with thinking that we shouldn't be worried about potentially being caught on camera, whatever it may be. We should understand that that's actually maybe 1/60th of the true reality, which is that even our own thoughts, and even our own personal talk to our family, it's all recorded and it's all meaningful. It's all purposeful, and that should be an impetus to make our lives more meaningful and to make our lives more purposeful to continue to grow towards coming closer to Hashem. And I hope this little thought was inspiring to some. Have a great night.